What is going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the six-man show. It is May 4th, 2020. Your boy Jonathan. I am here with Luke Sylvia, the Shaq to my Penny, the Penny to my Shaq, vice versa.
I was going to say,
My
who's who?
co-host. I'm fine either way, bro. You're either a dominant 7-foot big man or you're a lanky, multi-dimensional guard, whatever you want.
Yeah,
So,
I'd like to be Shaq. Let's be honest here.
That's fine. I'm completely okay with being Penny. Wish I wasn't injured and I had a little bit more longevity and a range of things. I wish that James Wiseman probably wasn't suspended from the NCAA at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Penny might have a lot of things that he wishes might have gone differently, but we're not here to debate all of that, right? Like I said, you guys are back with the six-man show, and we are at the final week of the Dinwiddie Cup. For those of you that have missed out like the past 5-6 weeks, where the heck have you been? You haven't had anything else or better to do.
Right.
The Dinwiddie Cup has been a simulation tournament that we've been doing this is what, the 5th or 6th week now, Luke?
I think it's 6.
6 weeks that we've been doing in 2K. We're down to our NBA final, the Dinwiddie Cup final, the Clippers and the Raptors. Luke's pick, the Clippers,
strong.
has been the pick since the beginning, and they have dominated.
And, to be fair, you would have picked the Clippers, but you wanted to spice it up, so you went Lakers, and then we saw the Lakers fall to the Pelicans.
No,
so
I went with Lakers because that's who I would have picked in real life.
Right.
Obviously, as I've come to learn over the past 6 weeks, 2K does not care about what you think would happen in real life.
That has very much been the motto of the last 6 weeks or however many weeks is 2K just does not care.
There's been no rhyme or reason to it. Like you said, the Pelicans beat the Lakers. The Bulls have beat multiple teams. Just a lot of things that don't make sense. But here we are. We're at the final week. We're going to get into that in just a little bit.
Real quick, Jonathan, did you see the super fan for the Raptors, Nav Bhatia, his post on Instagram?
When was this? Today? I did not.
Yeah. Let me see. 7 hours ago. He said this would have been the finals, and there's a picture of him with AD, and it says at Raptors versus at Lakers. So Nav Bhatia has already dismissed the season, I guess. He's saying this would have been the finals. And so he had the Lakers coming out of the West in real life and his Raptors coming out of the East. So almost like this, but, something tells me Nav Bhatia would like this 2K simulation. The Raptors getting all the way to the finals.
I think that's inaccurate. Unfortunately, I don't think Spicy P is enough to get the Raptors back to the finals.
Don't you dare forget Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, I can't stand Kyle Lowry, so I will dismiss Kyle Lowry at every opportunity that I can. I think, before all this is said and done, this quarantine, all this weird stuff, we're going to find out somehow that Kyle Lowry has been traded to the Magic, and it's just going to ruin my 2020 altogether. At that point, just put me in a medically induced coma, wake me up in 2021, because that would probably be one of the worst possible things that could happen to me in 2020. All the terrible things that have happened, you could put Kyle Lowry being traded to the Magic right up there. Because I'd be forced to root for him. I'm that kind of guy. Once you're on the team, you're my guy.
Oh, you have to.
But
you have to.
Yeah, that would just be terrible. So yeah, I definitely would dismiss Kyle Lowry. But yeah, don't think the Raptors are getting there. I think that'll be the Bucks' year to get to the finals. Giannis, it just feels like now is the time that he needs to take that next step. Got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but now it's time to get to the finals.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think Milwaukee probably makes it. They've had such an incredible regular season. I don't see it stopping unless, but the good thing here is Giannis doesn't shoot too much anyway, so him not touching a basketball right now
isn't a huge deal.
Isn't a huge deal because he's just going to be dunking the whole time, you know? And that might sound like I'm, making an assessment that isn't necessarily accurate. I know it's not completely accurate, but same time, Giannis probably will come out first game look like he didn't miss a step, whereas other players who have to get back into a rhythm with their jump shot might look a little rusty.
I think as long as Giannis is properly conditioned, you hand him a ball 20 minutes before game time, let him practice the crossover, the Euro step, the spin move. That's basically all he's got anyways. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
It's not like he's got a bag like, Kyrie or Damian Lillard or Steph Curry or one of those guys.
And what is he not that those guys are? He is not 6'3", 6'4". It's because he's
7 foot.
That's a big boy. He's
They
7
call him
foot.
the Greek Freak for a reason.
It's true.
All right. And it's not what most of you kids out there are thinking about. So get your head out of the gutter. All right.
Boy.
Anyways, we don't need to get into that. I don't know why I said that. Forgive me. This is a family podcast.
So you say. I don't know, man.
Anyways, so a couple of news items right this week, Luke. Especially, I think it was today the news came out from Shaq's podcast. He's obviously not an NBA executive or anything like that, but we know that these ex-players know people and they know what's going on. And he alluded to the fact that supposedly there are a couple of teams that are up for sale and could potentially be moving to Las Vegas. Luke, what do you think of that?
I think it makes sense. I think, first and foremost, that team has home court advantage to the max because that is Miami on steroids. And people would go there.
Vegas nightlife would be undefeated.
And so there's your home court advantage. There's your reason for getting people to go. And on top of that, and most importantly, the NBA already has ties to Vegas. You've got the Vegas Summer League. And the NBA right now is talking about going to Vegas. Vegas recently openly said, like, NBA, you want it, it's yours to resume the season in Vegas.
That's
so,
awesome.
but as we kind of talked about with Keith Smith on the podcast, and if you guys didn't catch that, you can go back in iTunes. Should be one episode before this one.
Flawlessly executed plug, my friend.
Thank you. And so, yeah, if you guys go back to that podcast and listen, Keith talked a lot about like, Vegas is good and they have the summer league there and this and that, but Vegas isn't the bubble that Disney is, and that would be for the idea of the NBA going to Disney instead of Vegas. So I believe that Keith's idea of going to Disney is much better. I think it's safer. I think it's a better experience for the players. You don't have to walk so far to the arena. But that being said, NBA does have those ties to Vegas, so it would make sense if a team was moved there. I think it makes sense, like I said, and I think that it's just probably a matter of time if that's already getting out to Shaq, who doesn't normally report things, from what I understand. And so now he's, the fact that he's stepping out and saying this kind of makes me think that it's probably pretty accurate.
So let's say a team doesn't get sold, right? Like you just give Las Vegas a team. I want to have a little bit of fun with this. So expansion team. So we have an expansion draft, right? Every team gets to protect a few of their guys, but let's throw that out of the window, right? What guys do you think would be opting to be yo, I want to get drafted to Vegas? My number one overall pick is going to be somebody like Jimmy Butler, James Harden, maybe Paul George for a different amount of reported reasons. What kind of guys do you think are man, Vegas is the spot. I need to be in Vegas. Who are you going with?
The Morris twins.
Oh my, that's perfect. I hadn't even thought of that.
They're going to Vegas.
Is Dennis Rodman coming out of retirement?
I was about to say, and they're going to be joined by Dennis Rodman, who might become an exec of that team. I don't know, man. I think there would be the free agency would not be a problem for that Vegas team. I know that.
Definitely not. So let's talk about some potential teams that we think, could be these teams that he's talking about that are for sale. So one of the teams that we talked about was, the Sacramento Kings, for instance. Just looking down the list, it's just really hard for me to pin that on. I mean, you look at some of the worst teams in the league, like Cleveland, but Cleveland just won a championship a few years ago. You definitely can't root that team. Atlanta, team is coming on the rise, right? You're not going to move Trae Young to Las Vegas. Detroit Pistons, they just built a whole new facility not that long ago. When you switch back over, you look at the West. We're talking about, like a Phoenix team or maybe, Minnesota. I don't know if I buy it right now. I'm sure Shaq has a ton of, insight and, connections and stuff like that. But until I see smoke, I don't believe there's going to be a fire.
Yeah, I don't know which team it would be. I mean, at least now it is a possibility. Everyone wants a team to go to Seattle. That
should be number one on the league's list.
It should be, and Seattle deserves that. But right now, I don't know, man. I think it might be Vegas. I just think Vegas makes too much sense. My logic here is Vegas makes a lot of sense for players and executives and the NBA. All three, I think, would be on board. And then you've got, like I said, Shaq doesn't normally just report things.
Right.
And he clearly has a source that he trusts, that he's willing to go out on his platform and say, here's what I think and here's what I've heard, that someone's going to be going to Vegas. So I think it's very accurate. I think that it could definitely happen. More of a chance today than there was, a few days ago when we didn't know this news. So, I think that there will be a team that goes there. I just don't know who. I don't know when. I'm not going to act like I don't know, like I know who or when. It's fun to speculate, but I truthfully just don't have any idea who it would be.
The light bulb just went off, Luke.
Yeah?
So who are we just talking about? What team? The Kings.
Yeah.
Who does Shaq have a minority ownership in? Where would he be getting that source?
Right.
Maybe it's the Kings.
Maybe.
To me, that makes the most sense. A team that, has struggled, obviously, since the early 2000s at least, right? That would be where he would get his source from. That's where he would get his information in. It wouldn't be that big of a move. Maybe a couple thousand miles, if that. I don't know how far Sacramento is from Vegas. I'm not a geographer by any means.
Right.
But my whole thing is stay far away from Central Florida. Don't come anywhere near the Magic with that.
Nope.
You can completely miss me with that. I would never, in the words of Joe Exotic, I would never financially recover from that.
You wouldn't be the only one.
I have no financial stake in the Magic, but at least emotionally, mentally, all that stuff.
It's a nice little haul from Sacramento to Las Vegas. It's 8 hours drive.
How far is Orlando to Vegas? It's much further. Much further. So just stay away. Stay away.
Wouldn't that be?
I mean, like, I'm not trying to get morbid, but like people have said that like over the last few years, like, just move the Magic, because our fan base or whatever the case may be, people say that sometimes Orlando may not be like a sports town or whatever the case is. I completely disagree with that, but like I have heard people say that. Not saying there's any, that holds any weight or anything like that, but like I'm sure I've heard Bill Simmons say that at least once or twice.
Right.
For instance, you and I both listen to Simmons a decent amount, but whatever. But we'll see. I don't expect anything to happen anytime soon, especially with the financial turmoil that the league is currently in with all this coronavirus and everything like that. So
right. And there was something else that talking about the NBA obviously coming back and that kind of looming over us. One thing I did want to touch on, Jonathan, is if we come back for this NBA season and let's say we finish out, regardless, right now we're probably looking at the season. Regardless, we're looking at probably next season being pushed back is what I'm saying.
Right.
So we're looking at probably December. It makes a lot of sense for the league to come back then. I was just thinking about it just recently. This would make the NBA probably permanently last through July, and the NBA only having to compete with the MLB. So I think that if the NBA can do that, if it can start in December and in July, do you know how incredible it would be for non-baseball fans for the NBA to be on in July? That sounds like a dream to me because July is like the dreaded month for me.
Right.
Because it's like there's literally nothing on TV. So I think that's just something I wanted to throw out there, is that because I hadn't really thought about it. I had only thought about the front end where it's like NBA probably starts in December from at least this year. But if they want to go, I mean, the casual NBA fan doesn't tune in until December anyway.
It's true.
And on Christmas Day, really, so almost January. So I mean, if you started in December, I don't think I'd be completely opposed if you go through July or I don't know, early August. You get out of the NFL's way too. I think rating wise on TV, the NBA would do better. So yeah, I think that was something that I just kind of thought about and heard recently, and I think that would be pretty great if we could have the NBA going from December till July.
So my question, like, at least, like, I understand, like, the necessity to do that, like, especially this year. And then, like, is this going to be something that's going to, just go on in perpetuity every year? Are we going to start the league, in mid-December or something like that? But I know a lot of, like, these baseball teams, like, baseball is a huge, like, benefactor of, like, the, local TV markets, especially, like, the Rays and stuff like that, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. How would the NBA kind of deal with that? Because there's a lot of times during, like, baseball season where I won't be able to watch a Magic game on Fox Sports Florida because the freaking Rays are playing. Like, no offense to Rays fans, but, like, I could care less about the Rays,
Right.
So when I turn the TV on, I'm like, all right, the Magic game is starting in, like, 3 minutes. Why is this game still on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How would that work? Like, these local, in regional television deals, how are they going to, maneuver all of that stuff to still kind of meet, like, the obligations that they have? And you might throw a lot of that stuff out of the window now with the current circumstances, but definitely going to be interesting. I actually heard that a lot of, like, NBA players would be opposed to that just because then they lose, like, their summer that they're accustomed to, that, their kids are out of school, they get to spend time with them, all that kind of stuff. But it's definitely going to be interesting going forward. We're in unprecedented times, and it just seems like the further we go, we're just getting into more unprecedented times. I don't know if normalcy is coming back anytime soon, but we'll see, man. It's definitely going to be interesting.
I think that if they did decide to start in December and go through July, I think that you're then looking it's possible that maybe they just shorten the season if they don't want that December thing to be permanent.
Right.
Because I think then you go into July and it's like you're still having to shuffle around dates then if you do want to start again at a normal time like what you're used to, what the NBA usually does. I think there's a lot that goes into it. Who knows? But I think if there was ever a time to make that change, I assume that those conversations are taking place right now as they're trying to decide what to do next.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's either going to come down to this is what it's going to be going forward, or you have to set up some kind of plan to, shorten the season, or maybe, you shorten this season by 10 games and then you shorten next season by 10 games so that eventually you can get back to that schedule. But who knows? So a little bit of Orlando Magic news that actually broke just in the last hour and a half. So if you guys have been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know that we had Orlando Magic forward Jonathan Isaac on the podcast a few weeks ago. If you haven't listened to that, please go back and listen to that. It was a ton of fun. Great conversation. But Jonathan Isaac announced that he has gotten engaged, Luke. It's a big move.
That is a big move, and obviously he kept it kind of a secret from everybody, just so we don't have too much of a glimpse into his personal life, obviously, but which I completely understand and I respect that. But that made it all the more shocking when he posted that. It was like he's what? Because as you know, we had him on the show recently, and you had kind of alluded to this before we started recording, but he got real excited about us. And having, I have a child on the way, you have one and one on the way. So he got really excited about that. And, that was something that's a guy that he talked about, I just love the idea of a family and all those things. And Jonathan Isaac making those moves to have a family of his own, pretty exciting.
You know what happened, Luke? He came on the podcast. He's like, look at these married guys with their beautiful kids and kids on the way. It's time. I got to lock it down. So we're taking credit right now for Jonathan Isaac getting engaged. You saw us. He's like, man, those guys are just swell, inspirational guys. I'm totally kidding. But that would be cool.
Listen, we're the reason Jonathan Isaac made a Skype, and we're the reason Jonathan Isaac got engaged. So there's that. So
last week, you and I talked about a couple of things. Looking at me on the screen here, you notice anything different?
Oh, got a little haircut.
I got freshed up. You know what I'm saying?
And you'll notice I'm still wearing a hat. For those of you who can see me,
right.
You look good. I'm still wearing a hat, and I'm just. I don't know. I'm a Sport Clips guy, so I don't have the luxury of just going to my barber's house at 8 in the morning.
Chill.
That
was between you and me.
Listen, no one thinks Carmen gave you that haircut, and you didn't give it to yourself, so
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
That's bleh. Anyways, yeah, I couldn't do it anymore. I caved. Actually, certain things opened up. You're allowed to, gather in groups smaller than 10. So I wasn't technically breaking any rules.
Right.
The barbershops aren't quite open, but yeah, I had to go for a drive. See a man about a car.
A friend doing a friend a favor.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
Some friendly recreational activity. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyways, so that's where we are as far as NBA. Was there one other thing that we wanted to mention, Luke? If we did, it's over my head. Tonight is supposedly the Kobe episode on The Last Dance.
Man, I'm not ready. My heart is not ready.
I'm not ready, bro. I'm really not. It's gonna be
not
sad.
ready at all. And also, Jonathan, next week, I believe, should be when the Magic are
Let them
featured.
know, Luke. They don't want to know about it. They don't want to talk about it.
The Magic will be featured, and the reason that the Bulls had to go on another three-peat because they had to refuel after
they couldn't four-peat
after the Magic got them in the playoffs. And well, hopefully, I hope they go into detail next week about it. I think they will. I've heard as well as you've heard that people are believing that it's going to be a Magic episode, probably the front end of that two-part series next week.
I'm ready for it.
So as a result, Jonathan, I think you and I are going to push back our recording time a little bit next week.
Let them know.
So that we can watch that Magic episode. So we probably will be streaming and recording our episode for next week a little later than usual. But I'm excited. I'm excited. I think tonight's episodes will be good with featuring Kobe. It'll hit everybody right in the feels. And then next week will be, just as much hitting us in the feels. So I'm excited.
I'm excited to see what they say about it because whenever, MJ fans are talking trash or Bulls fans are talking trash, you just throw up, well, what happened in 95 with the Magic? Well, that was MJ. He was coming back. He came back as 45, then switched to 23. That wasn't like the real MJ, right? But when MJ came back and dropped 55, the double nickel on the Knicks, all the headlines the next day were MJ's back.
Right.
But he wasn't. But he was back. But he wasn't back in that series, though. You know what I'm saying?
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of casual NBA fans that think Jordan technically six-peated.
Right.
And I think that they don't know. So next week they'll learn. They're gonna learn today.
Yeah.
So
my boys. Nick Anderson, Horace Grant, Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, Brian Shaw, Dennis Scott. They had something to say about that six-peat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Shaq was like, it definitely concerns me a little bit, but I'll pack that thing too. So you come around this way and you will get clapped. You will get clapped. Anyways,
right.
So that will. Speaking of excuses, Luke, we didn't want to talk about this, but you insisted. You literally insisted.
That's big talk from someone that just brought it up. I was gonna let it slide. I was like, so as you guys might have seen on our Twitter the other day at the Six Man Show on Twitter, you guys can go and see our video. We screen recorded that Aaron Gordon finally got to talk to DWade, and DWade, quote unquote, cleared things up. And that the excuse is there. It's on Twitter, and Jonathan, it's funny. When people right when it happened, the dunk contest, obviously referring to DWade giving Aaron Gordon a 9 out of 10, being the reason he lost.
Jumping over Taco Fall, 7-6, no big deal.
Right. And so the excuse with DWade weeks and months ago was, oh, I gave him a 9. You guys didn't see the other two people gave him a 9. He just kind of didn't say anything else. Then you had people that were the judges that came out and said, no, we had an agreement, and one person broke it.
You got Common. You got Candace Parker. You got Scottie Pippen, all agreeing that something went down.
They all said, we agreed, and someone broke that. And so
someone.
And DWade
must have been Chadwick Boseman. Must have been. He's
a big Heat guy. We screen recorded that. DWade is now saying a new excuse I hadn't heard. He said, he told Aaron earlier in the dunk contest when Derrick Jones Jr. tried to dunk over Bam Adebayo, who, by the way, is not 7'6".
6'10"?
Who clearly pushed off of him. He said, I gave him a 9. And so that's why when I can't even say this with a straight face.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why
I'm fuming.
When you dunked over Taco Fall and didn't clear him, to which AG said, I thought I cleared him. I thought I cleared homeboy. And DWade's just like, nah, man, I had to give you a 9 because you didn't clear him. And he said, but people make a good point. They say, oh, AG didn't clear him. AG did clear him, and he's 7'6". He said, the point there is that Taco's 7'6". And so there you have it, Jonathan. There's really not much that we need to get into here. It's just that Dwayne Wade is still running from the truth.
You're stirring up emotions.
And the truth shall set you free. So I hope that Dwayne Wade will one day say this. Maybe, I don't know, it might be 20 years before we get him to say it. Maybe
he's
it's
never going
Dwayne
to
Wade
say it because he's a coward.
I have no idea.
No, he's a coward. If he was going to admit it, the time was long ago to admit it. My favorite part of that entire interaction was AG looks at him and says, yeah, there was only a couple of people that thought that, Derrick Jones Jr. won the dunk contest. Yeah. It was you and Derrick Jones Jr.
All right.
And Dwayne Wade just died.
D-Wade lost it, but he
knows it's true.
He knows.
No, my whole issue with this is, like, initially when it happened, I was just so mad for Aaron. You could tell he was mad. You could tell he felt robbed. But as time has gone on, you can tell that Aaron's over it. I, on the other hand, am not over it.
No,
the reason
you're definitely
being,
not.
I'm definitely not over it. And it's a little bit ridiculous, and I completely understand that, but I wouldn't, be like I feel like I'm like Navatia, right? Obviously, I don't sit courtside every game, but I feel like I'm an Orlando Magic super fan. Like, I love this team more than most things in the world, right? So I get a little bit emotional about certain things, as people well know. But my biggest thing is, like, I just hate liars. You know what I mean? Especially like people that are like ducking behind the truth to try to save face, right? Like, he's not trying to save anybody's feelings. He's only looking out for himself in this whole situation. We all know the fix was in.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The fix was in. Another thing that's just a tidbit. Then we'll get into this championship of the Dinwiddie Cup. But one thing that kind of irritated me was that Aaron Gordon. Yes, it was cute. It came across petty that he was drinking DWade's wine in that music video 9 out of 10, which was the diss track for DWade.
That wine's like $20 a bottle. Sorry, not impressed, Dwayne.
and
I don't know anything about wine. I'm just being petty.
Yeah, no, but the thing that kind of irritated me, and it shouldn't have, was that DWade got publicity out of him drinking his wine. So now people who didn't know, now they know DWade's got the wine. When they Instagram lived, Aaron Gordon's trying to make good with DWade still for whatever reason. He doesn't know him at anything, and he's over there with the Wade wine behind him.
On the wine down.
Yeah. So,
well, Aaron, before we start, let me plug my my summer chill mix of my wine before we get into this right now.
Oh, he did do that. He penned it to the live and everything.
Come on, man. It's like Bill Simmons reading a live read.
I can't wait for you to receive the Wade wine that I sent you in the mail yesterday.
Well, I mean, I might try it. I'm not saying that I won't try it, but I'm not gonna like it.
Right.
Even if I like it, I'm not gonna like the fact that I like it. Yeah, I would never tell anybody that. No, but just to wrap up this whole thing, like, just you're making excuses. If you just come out and tell the truth, then it's all right. You're an idiot for 6 months or whatever, but now it's over. But the fact that this just keeps getting rehashed for whatever reason, most of that is because we're in quarantine. There's nothing else to talk about. But like, the biggest issue is just stop lying, tell the truth. You fixed it for your boy. That's what happened. Everybody knows. Admit it. We can get past it. But it's whatever. Mm-hmm. So.
Now, all right, we got some other business to take care of, Jonathan.
We got some business. Business.
The LA Clippers trying to stop the Toronto Raptors from two-peating. And the interesting in the storyline here is that Kawhi goes against the team he won a championship for last year.
It's very big implications here.
Mm-hmm.
You and I kind of talked about this like the last few days, that like part of me I don't know if I'll ever be able to view Kawhi. We talked about like, okay, what if Kawhi, wins finals MVP for 3 separate teams? Because we were talking about, if the Lakers come back and the Lakers win a championship, LeBron could potentially be the first person to ever win finals MVP for 3 separate teams. But we also talked about that if the Clippers win and Kawhi is the finals MVP, that he would be the first person to ever do that, right? And the implications that come along with that. And my whole thing was like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to like view Kawhi in the same light. And I know I'm going to be in the minority here, so feel free to @ me on Twitter. But because of the whole load management thing, like he's not playing, 60, 65, 70 plus games a year. And to me, that kind of hampers like his legacy. Like he doesn't have the same responsibility that like a LeBron James or Michael Jordan, Kareem, a lot of these other guys, where if they don't play, their team is potentially not making the playoffs. I mean, maybe not in Michael Jordan's case because Scottie Pippen led them to the Eastern Conference Finals, even without Michael Jordan. But we won't get into that right now, Luke. I gotta fan myself down. I'm heating up. But no, like just if you're able to sit out and your team is still able to be that good that you come back as like a number 1 seed like they were last year, or a 2 seed or 3 seed like they would be this year, and then you just come in, play really, really great for about 6 weeks and then win a title, like obviously that's a huge deal. Being a 3 times final MVP would catapult him. We're probably talking, top 20 to 25 NBA players of all time at the very least. But I don't know if I could ever view him like in the same stratosphere as, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kareem, Oscar Robertson, guys like that, unless he's able to play regular season games, like 70-plus games like a lot of these other guys do. But you felt differently about that, and I understand that completely. Like I said, I know I'm in the minority.
Yeah, and we won't get into that. We can save it for another time. Who knows when maybe if Kawhi does win a championship this year, we can revisit it. So, but for now, I'd love to see who wins the Dinwiddie Cup.
Your last chance to change your pick.
Nope. We're saying we're here.
Well, just for parity's sake or levity's sake, whatever. I'm gonna take the Raptors because we both take the Clippers. That's boring.
Right.
So
if boring.
If the Raptors win, I'm better than you. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Right. I'm just kidding. All right, let's get into this. But that doesn't go vice versa. If the Clippers win, you're not better than me.
Well,
so
I don't know.
No, I'm just
kidding.
I don't
know. I did pick them at the very beginning.
You did.
So,
Very smart pick. I will give that to you for sure. All right, so here we go. We're going to simulate game 1. So we're going to do this like we have been doing. Once we get into elimination games, if the game is close within the last few minutes, we'll actually jump in and watch that live. But here we go. Game 1, Clippers and Raptors. So it's pretty close to start. Game 1 of the finals. Everybody's energy is way up.
How is Pascal Siakam already fatigued? Is it just from just playing his heart out in these first couple rounds here?
It must be. I mean, I think in the semifinals last week he had some kind of sprained ankle, and then came back in a week. They were down 3-1. He came back and won in 7 games.
Yeah.
So hats off to Pascal, but the Raptors would definitely lean on him pretty heavily in order to get to this point with the Raptors in any scenario, I think.
Yeah, and as we saw, we're the only ones that really saw, and the people watching this, and the Clippers gave up their about a double-digit lead, and then they answered back, and now they're up 15 right now in the fourth quarter.
In the last couple of minutes here, it looks like the Clippers are going to take game 1. I bet Paul George and Kawhi are just, man, they gave them the business. What are we looking at? That's a 25?
Yep.
Point
10 to 85.
Good grief. We're going to get right into the next game. Clippers are up 1-0. We're still playing in LA. When we were talking about, Shaq talking about a team potentially getting sold, for a split second I was like, oh, it makes sense maybe for the Clippers because, maybe have one LA team instead of 2. But they just purchased the Great Western Forum, so there's no way that they're going to move at this point, I think.
Yeah, no, they're pretty locked in. Old Bomber spent a little bit of cash, so
in the
I don't
middle
think they're
of
going
a pandemic, he's just dropping fat stacks.
Mm-hmm.
He's got it like that.
Right now, the Bombers Clippers are up 12 in the third quarter. So I don't know, Jonathan. I don't know if this will be a close series.
Yeah, it's not looking great.
I
take
the
back
Raptors,
what I said.
Oh, they're coming back a little bit, but I think the Raptors probably had to split one of these.
Yeah, the Clippers, they're trying to keep them at arm's length right now. 2-point lead with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We'll see what happens here.
Looks like they went scoreless here for like a minute there. That was a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
It's getting very close. Raptors
Whoa.
up 1 with 1 minute left. Raptors take game 2 in L.A.
Wow. So
are you nervous?
Lowry's, how many points does that say?
Oh, I skipped right past that. I can go.
It said Lowry's X amount of points led them, so we know Lowry was the high point man.
Lowry popped off. You see, he heard me talking trash. He's like, here we go.
Here we go.
All right, game 3. Now we got the Raptors. Nav Bhatia, he is in the building for game 3. Raptors Clippers in the finals.
Nav Bhatia was probably in the building for games 1 and 2
that's
in LA
also
as
true.
well.
Yeah, that's a fact. That dude is another guy that's got some cash.
We both got to see him at the playoffs last year.
right
when he was there, and it was kind of funny. He got a lot of airtime, and he gets a lot of airtime in general, and so it's cool. It's pretty much was like seeing a celebrity when you saw Navbatia in the arena.
Yeah, he was really great. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that he was really gracious with his time, talking to a lot of the Raptors fans that were there, even taking pictures with Magic fans, which for me, like 16 rows up off the floor, I'm just looking down there in disgust, shaking my head, like, what are you doing? Like, super nice guy, I'm sure, but he's the enemy right now, as the Raptors are up 4 at the start of the fourth quarter here.
And the Clippers just regain the lead just right when you say that.
It's going back and forth.
It's kind of ping-ponging
It's
back
like
and forth
watching
here.
tennis right now, exactly.
4 minutes left in the game.
Up here, the Clippers take a 12-point lead into the final minute. Man, they went
That
on
was
quite the run there.
That was a rough stretch for Toronto.
Man, they had the
by
lead
16.
there. Yeah, and the Clippers just popped off. So we're going to Game 4 back in Toronto. Clippers are up 2-1, have retaken home court advantage here. I thought maybe if we could get that another win in Toronto, go up 2-1, maybe Luke would start getting a little bit of nervous, but he's cool as a cucumber right now.
I'm so cool right now. I told you I don't panic. The Clippers were a confident choice of mine, and now they're up 7 right now in the second quarter.
So Luke, speaking of being cool, especially when it comes to 2K, so you have jumped into a lot of Orlando Magic fans on Twitter have been a part of this like 2K league recently. So give us an update. I think we drafted pretty well. The team is sitting pretty right now, pretty solid record. We're getting ready for the playoffs. How are you feeling?
Good. I think we're 10-3 or something like that. Yeah, 10-3. So I've got one game left in the regular season. It's been a lot of fun. I believe there's about 17 of us. Philip Rossman Reich is in the league as well. Obviously the zone. The guys from the zone.
Ozone Pod.
And shout out Braden Van Bart. He was the first one to give me an L in this 2K My League experience. He's a fan of the show, so had to shout him out. But he seems to be a cool kid.
He's a fan of the show. He shouldn't be handing us L's.
Right. He did, though.
It's not right.
He definitely handed me an L for about, I think, by 7 points or so.
Sheesh. That's all right. Well, we're gearing up. We're playing our best basketball as we get into the playoffs, and that's what's important.
Right. And Jonathan and I, we drafted the team together, so this has been a total team effort. And we've consulted on trades. We got nothing else going on. But exactly. Jonathan, as some might see here, the Clippers won that game 109-102. The big thing there was in the third quarter, they outscored Toronto 36-21, and that's the big reason they won.
So Toronto has a major loss here in this series as Powell, good grief, flashback. Whoa. Marc Gasol is out 1 to 2 weeks with a sprained right knee as the Clippers are already up 3-1 as we head back to Los Angeles. Luke, I think this is going to be it right here.
Yeah, we'll see. It's in L.A. L.A. would want to win on their court. So we'll see. This might be the end of the Dinwiddie Cup, Jonathan. I've enjoyed it. It's kind of the first thing we introduced together on the show.
Facts.
And so this is it's pretty cool. It's finally coming to an end here. Like we said, it's been going 5 or 6 weeks. So as the Clippers are up 9 points in the second quarter.
Yeah, this lead is just going back between 9 and 11 points. The Clippers are just trying to keep the Raptors at arm's length as they're up 13 right now, heading into halftime, and just growing that lead.
Do you think in real life do the Clippers win 4-1, 4-0 if this happens
against the Raptors?
Yes,
especially if Marc Gasol gets hurt. Definitely 4-1. I think the Raptors they're too battle tested. They won a championship last year as the Clippers are just coasting to their first NBA Finals
Toronto,
right now.
The Raptors are getting just smacked back to Toronto right now. It is 130-95.
40 points in a decisive Game 5.
Outscored them in every quarter. 28-19, 35-32. Goodness gracious.
The Los Angeles Clippers have won the championship and are the 2020 Dinwiddie Cup champions.
Sheesh.
As fun as that was, hopefully we never have to do it again because this quarantine sucks.
Yeah,
to put it frankly,
it's bad, but it's good that we got the what was the final? Was it 4-1?
4-1. Kawhi Leonard Finals MVP.
Shout out to Carson in the chat, in the Twitch chat, who did say before we even started, Clips in 5.
He's a magician. He's a savant.
He knows. So me and Carson here, we won and you lost, Jonathan. That's all I heard.
I lost when LeBron James decided to lose to the Pelicans in this simulation.
Right, because apparently Zion greater than LeBron. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
AD.
Time will tell. But yeah, 2K has been full of surprises and curveballs this entire tournament. But here we have Kawhi Leonard, Finals MVP, 25.4 points per game, 9.6 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 2.6 steals, 1 block per game. Shot 51% from 3 in that series. Not much you're going to do when he's shooting the ball like that.
Gross. That is disgusting.
That is gross. Speaking of gross in 2K simulations, I told you about this yesterday. I posted it on Twitter. I took the current Magic team, and I took 1994-1995 Shaquille O'Neal, and I placed him on the current Orlando Magic. I took the 2007-2008 Tracy McGrady because that's the only Tracy McGrady that's available in 2K. Ronnie, if you're listening to this is why we don't like you. You need to put the 03-04 Orlando Magic in 2K. You need to put the 09-010, 10 and 11 Orlando Magic in 2K. All that good stuff. Or 08-09, 09-010, whatever.
You keep saying 010 and it's bothering me, Jonathan.
Whatever, dude. Is there an O before the 10 or no?
No, definitely not.
What year was it? What year was it?
All right. And abbreviations.
2010. There's an O before it.
We both
No, you're right.
know it is 0910.
I know. Well, listen. Either way, Ronnie, you just need to make that happen because it's a disgrace that neither of those teams are in 2K. So I took 08 McGrady. I just upped the athleticism a little bit, give him a little bit more of that bounce that he had in the early years in Orlando. Put both of them on this year's current Orlando Magic team because of position fit and salary. I got rid of Nikola Vucevic and Evan Fournier. Obviously, they're starters. Tracy McGrady and Shaq are starters, salary, their position, all that stuff, like I
Fair
said.
trade. Who says no?
I simulated that entire season, all 82 games, and the playoffs, and the Magic won the championship. And it made me very, very sad to think what could have been if Shaq stays around. Maybe they make a trade or sign Tracy McGrady, or Tracy McGrady sticks around until Dwight is drafted. Which Tracy McGrady stays around too long, maybe the Magic don't end up drafting Dwight Howard.
A lot of fantasies there, Jonathan.
A lot of scenarios, a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas. I just need the Magic to win a championship before I die.
You just need a basketball in your life. You wanted to watch some exciting basketball, and you got it. So.
After that, I took my basketball. I went out to the street, dribbled for about 10 or 15 minutes before I couldn't breathe. Yeah, I really, really miss basketball, Luke. That's what it comes down to.
We need it. We need it bad.
We need it. So, yeah, from this point going forward, not too sure what's going to happen on the podcast. This has been kind of carrying us through with content the last few weeks, but now it's really time to get creative. So as weird as this podcast has been at times, it's going to get even weirder if that's even possible.
It is going to get weirder, but just know next week, probably a bulk of our time on the episode will highlight the Magic and the Chicago Bulls, 1995, the reason that MJ did not win 7 in a row.
Big facts. So before we head out, Luke, let the people know where they can find you on the Twitter, on the Instagram, whatever you want there.
Yep. So on Instagram, you guys can find me at @the_Luke Sylvia. And then on Twitter, you can find me at Luke Sylvia 96. And of course, find the show at the 6-Man Show.
And then me on Twitter, I believe you can find me. It's J_Osborne21. And then on Instagram, it is JOsborne_21. So there's some different underscores in there, but if you look me up, you'll be able to find me there. Luke, I don't have anything else for the people before we sign off. Do you?
Nope. Can't wait till next week. Can't wait to talk Magic basketball in 1995.
I can't wait for just anything to do with the Magic, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Once again, for Luke, this has been Jonathan. You guys are listening to the 6-Man Show. Please come back and listen next week, but thank you for listening this week. We will catch you guys next time. See ya!